Nonchalant.
I like to ask the hard questions.
Okay, go ahead.
The
Go
difficult
ahead.
questions.
Please.
So, the source at one time, and still is to me, was considered the Bible of hip hop music. You wanted to be in the source. You wanted to get your mics. And Dave, you came from DC, and this will speak to this time. So one, Dave, I want to speak to you about, you want 5 mics in the source. You wanted to get 5 mics in the source. So Dave, I've been waiting to see you to find out, one, why I only got 2.5 mics. I got 3.5. I'm sorry, don't want to short myself. 3.5 mics, but
that's much better.
But check it out. But honestly, I was very, very happy to even be in the source. But to speak to those times and now these times and getting people to pay attention. Dave, you're from DC, and I don't know how many DMV artists were featured in the source back during that time, but even creating the source, what would make you look for artists in the DMV, because there was whole hip hop culture happening in the DMV. You created the source, but the primary artists in the source were New York artists and California artists. But there was a whole culture happening in your hometown. So what made you not see that? And that is what would speak to today, when we still don't really see the DMV as the artist to look for.
Well, I mean, so as far as hip hop in DC, I mean, you know, hip hop. Yeah, I understand it wasn't seen. 3.5, first of all, was a great rating. So I'm glad to hear what
Kingpin, Slim, and Wale, they was both in the source.
Wale was an unsigned hype.
Yeah, unsigned hype.
Yeah.
They was an unsigned hype.
Yeah,
but you right.
But to say that the source, you know, only covered like New York and California, that's just false. The source, you know, represented hip hop in every part of the country.
I'm not saying the only. I just
columns.
say predominantly, because it's rightfully so. I mean, New York is New York. New York is the mecca of hip hop. So I'm not gonna. But I'm just saying it's a reality check for us to understand how we can be overlooked. And what can separate us, what can make us ourselves pay attention to ourselves to make sure that we put ourselves on the radar.
I think, can I step in here for a second? Because historical context is very important. I moved to DC in '98. DC, when I got here, the local scene, the underground scene was GoGo. Absolutely. Right? There was Section 8 Mob, there was a few sprinklings. But the sentiment on the ground was that this was a GoGo city, right? And anything tried to get in the way of that. This is at that time, right? So, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. So at that time, that was the sentiment. So if I'm a publisher, magazine publisher, speaking to a national and international audience, right? My pickings in terms of the pipeline, right? The pipeline, that's the underground, right? At that time was very slim, because that's dawn. We were at BET, Rap City. We talked about it. The talent, Joe Claire, all of them, they were from DC. But in terms of the amount of music videos that used to come, there were very, very few. Even later when we moved to New York, we used to get the bongos, Versace, Paris, Sucos. But I'm just saying, in comparison to the size of the market, in proportion to the size of the market, it was there was no pipeline. GoGo had a pipeline, just that the pipeline was not like
So this is not to pick on Dave, because this is not
the same dilemma.
You're right, but this is not to pick on Dave, but this is to tie in to a previous conversation with a panel up here. And there's a true responsibility. This ties into myself as well. So with that being said, Dave has this national, international platform that he's looking everywhere for, and they're there in his face. We have GoGo. Now, to that defense, a diamond can't be found easily. A diamond, you can dig all around copper, but when you find that diamond, you are so happy. So if you're at home and you know that there are some diamonds there, then you're gonna find it and you're gonna push it out. To that point. So absolutely, it's a go-go town, but again, hip hop was U Street was incredibly.
That's what I was about to talk about.
Incredibly pouring over
Yeah.
with MCs trying to get out. But with that being said, in this day and age, how do we get to the days of today? We need, as artists, and I'm saying that to you all, because I don't need to think about that. I don't need to think about it. If I want to drop a record, I need to think about how to get to Dave, but I'm putting this back on us. How do we get to the days? Because right now, they're still not looking at the DMV. They're not looking at us to give us 500 or million or 2 million selling records or streams. They're not looking at us. So we need to think about how do we get to the days. I'm not gonna talk no more.
Nah, I mean, Non kind of hit it. All I was gonna say is like, yeah, there was a whole movement on U Street, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's where EXO comes from, you know what I'm saying? That's where I wish Priest was here to really talk about it. So there was a movement going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it had its own ecosystem on U Street, you know what I'm saying?
Me, I was in that movement. Yeah, Ball
Yeah.
None alumni. You know what I'm saying? And that was the open mic. That was like if you
Yeah,
seen
State
8
of the
Mile.
Union, Copper House. I mean, there was a
That was
lot
like
of stuff going on.
that's like an 8 Mile vibe. But it's like I was the only guy, well, one of the only guys that was like, I was street affiliated.
Yeah.
And other cool crowds to even let other people know in the hood. If I go up 3500 or 14th Street, I may walk off the block and be like, I'm about to go to this open mic now on U Street. They be like, what? What is that? I was hip.
Give people some context, because we have a Fly Zaya is 11 years old. What
Yeah.
year was this? Like,
Oh, it's like, this is, hey, sound man, hey, but this might keep going up. Two. Yeah, that was like 2005, 6,
2005,
7, 8. That's when I jumped into it. Me really, it was like 2000. I was 16 come down that joint. It was 2000, 2, 3. But even before that, in like 98.
Yeah, no, 98. Wait, 98 there was Unspoken Heard, and there was 98 all those little poetry slams of Bar None and Mangoes.
Exactly.
And,
That right there.
I could probably speak to that if y'all already heard.
Yeah, that was a world that nobody knew about.
I could probably speak to that before, like if anybody's trying to hit.
That was a world nobody knew about.
Yeah. So when I hear people say that,
I remember the 20.
when I hear people say that there wasn't a movement and Tumbashi came in '98 and others came after that, like I'm born and raised here, like we've been here.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
You know, there was definitely a street movement. You know what I'm saying? Nonchalant is my sister.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So when she came out, I was in high school, and then I jumped off the block immediately following her.
So give us some more historical context. When 5 o'clock dropped, blew up, what stopped any kind of momentum or flywheel? You know
Oh, okay.
What happened after that? What happened after that? Because we need to learn.
I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you very simply.
Give it straight.
GoGo. So here's the problem. Here's what happened. When I dropped my first record, might have been 2000, right? My first solo record. Radio's calling me, looking for me. You know what I'm saying? One of the early pushes. Me, One Way, shout out Nucci in the building. Several others, Chuck. You know, we were outside and we were pushing really hard, pressing up records. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Push them out the trunk because in our mind, if you're gonna be a drug dealer turned rapper, this is what we're gonna do.
That was the media. Back in the day, that was the media.
That was the media.
That's how you got to the people when actually got the numbers, but it was like intrinsic though. It had real value because you got a real interaction. So it mean more, and that's how you build a real cult following based on somebody seeing you online. You getting a bunch of.
What I'm saying,
impressions.
I think what Toma is asking is where was the stopgap? Because I was in the source.
Yeah, because
So where the stopgap was,
stopgap is a good word. Okay.
where the stopgap
Yeah,
was,
the stopgap.
was radio. I was told by several PDs from KYS and PTC that we can't play you because we play GoGo. So their tenet was, if I'm playing local music, I'm playing GoGo because that covers local. So I can't play you primetime face. I can't play you. I can play you at 2 in the morning when nobody's listening. You understand?
Yeah.
So this is where the stopgap came between 2000 and probably clean up the Wale.
Yeah.
There was a stopgap between us and radio that would not allow us to be seen.
Oh, so now Fly Zaya is 11 years old, right? Her generation doesn't listen to. Oh no, Two-Face. Did I cut you off?
No, I was gonna say what he's saying makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes total sense because my record came out in '91 and it has the go-go flavor to it.
Yeah.
No problem. Number 1 on 95, number 1 on PGC all day long. Yeah.
Until Wale came, nobody did that. That's what he's saying.
Yes.
Until Wale came,
How about Tabby
nobody
Bonet?
did that. No, Tabby Bonet is what both of them came at the same time. And Tabby had a pocket. His beat was called Drake called Put Me in the Pocket.
And that's true.
Wait.
the
But I
wish I was a part of this.
Acknowledge the youth. Fly Zaya's generation, in terms of the kind of dependency on the radio to get the local audience, because I'm on Instagram all day. I see Hood's News. I see so made in the DMV. I see so many different DMV. That was DMV, right?
Yeah.
So DMV targeted. What advice do you give to her? What advice do you give to her in terms of building her music? This for you to listen to.
So I'll tell you one,
Go, yeah.
just to answer the question, what happened, I was at radio at that time. So I did middays and then I did 6 to 10. So what happened was PGC went to a format following Hot 97 in New York. So it was R&B and hip hop. So now they're in radio wars with Kiss. There's a huge war for ratings. So now they don't have the time to play local music. They have to play the no-brainers. What's running radio is people calling in. What they're calling in for is the artists that they know, which would be those artists of that time. So there's no room for them to play any local music because they're battling each other. So they couldn't take a chance at losing listeners. They had to stay intact with and ratings. So that's what happened during that time. You know, Easy.
Easy.